Hello everybody, and welcome back to another build guide for Path of Exile 2. This is our Rocket Launcher Mercenary, which basically just uses explosive shot to decimate all. We'll do a quick demo of the way that the playstyle works, and then we'll come back to the hideout and do a nice, it's going to be a very quick demo, don't worry, but we're going to do a quick rundown of the build so you guys can see how it all works. So you basically just run through the map. And because I have this set up in a way that allows me to just almost keep moving at full speed as we're going through this. This is just a level 1 map because I wanted you guys to see how the ability just kind of functions. Because I don't want to waste a high level waystone on this. But yeah, you just it works the same way in the higher level maps. It might take 2 iterations of the ability to clear out an entire pack, but you don't have to stop. So you can just kind of keep running as you're going through all of this. So this is basically how it works. And then if you come across a high-level enemy, you throw some the oil grenade or whatever on them. That debuffs them a little bit. That's really all you need to, even for most of the rares and the bosses and stuff like that. You might use emergency reload occasionally if you need some extra DPS, but I don't find that it really adds that much in the way of damage. Most of it's just going to be debuffing them with the oil grenade. Sorry, I don't know why that just won't come out. And then every once in a while, if it's like a boss or something that you know is going to stick around for a while, maybe pop out some grenades, because we have some armor break, some corrosion on here that does some armor breaking, which helps with the overall damage output. If you really need the stun, we have the flash grenade. But other than that, this is pretty much a one-button build 90+% of the time. So it's really nice to have all of that. So we're going to go back into the hideout so we can be free to look at all of the information, and then hopefully you guys will have a good understanding of how this build works. Now, I found this build over on Maxroll. I'll try to remember to put a link to the build itself, but the build is only a leveling build, and it only really gets you through most of the campaign. I think the skill points that were provided and the skill points and all that, the skills and everything, were only really took you through most of the campaign through Cruel, and I don't think you really got too much after that. So a lot of this after a certain point is all me. So I did the best I could with the information I had available to me. We'll start off with our skills. We don't really use crossbow shot in this build because our explosive shot is just so powerful. So explosive shot is our primary ability. So the thing you're going to be using 95% of the time. And to make it really powerful, we're adding martial tempo to get more attack speed. Scatter shot, which is what causes the sort of machine gun RPG effect. So it's basically shooting up 3 projectiles, and rather than 3 projectiles all at once that spread out really far, it actually just shoots them all in the same spot, and because it's an explosive ability. So you're able to really concentrate a bunch of explosive damage in one area using the scatter shot with this specific ability. Other abilities will shoot it out in more of like a W pattern or whatever. This one does them all in the same direction, which is really nice. You also got Heft to get more physical damage. We also have a Primal Armament to increase our weapon damage, and the reason why these are important is because your explosive shot converts 30% of your physical damage to fire damage. So that the Heft is important because most of your damage is still physical damage, but we're also going to increase the elemental aspect of this ability by using Primal Armament to increase the fire damage that we're doing. And then lastly, we're using Inspiration so that we're not burning our mana down over and over again, because, you know, the reload for that can get pretty expensive if you don't have that on there. And that's mostly, this is like most of the build right here as far as your abilities go. You're mostly just running around and just, you know, pressing the button. That's it. Blow up packs of enemies. And even the rares and stuff, unless it's just a particularly tough rare, I almost never need to use my oil grenades. It's just every once in a while when I see something that's particularly tough. But when you do need your oil grenades, the oil grenade basically debuffs them against fire, and we're using magnified effect for that to make the ability go wider so that you have a better chance of actually hitting them with it. Because ideally you want to hit them with it before you fire off. I mean, you can still, you'll still most of the time get them with the ability, but sometimes it's just kind of weird. So having it to where it spreads out a little bit more so that when you do the fire there, it gets a better chance of actually getting them. Anything that gives you a better chance of getting the ability to actually hit them is good. Scatter shot as well for that. We'll talk about that in a second. That's part of the reason we're able to do that is because of the Ascendancy that we chose. And we also have Strip Away, which allows us to it increases the debuff by another 30%. So that's what's really nice about that. We have Flash Grenade. That was really part of the leveling part of the build, but I just kind of never got rid of it. Flash Grenade is great for building up stun to get your enemies to be stunned. We have Overpower, which increases the stun of it. We have Ruthless, which gives us even more. This is basically similar to our Bone Shatter Titan, where we're using this as our like single target ability to drastically increase the stun, trying to get them to heavy stun. And then we have Lacerate, which also causes bleeding. So if you're fighting something that's particularly tough, you can toss a flash grenade at them, and you have a good chance of inflicting some bleeding, which is really nice. Emergency Reload is a damage buffing ability. We've attached Premeditation, which empowers this ability by 15% more than what it is by its base. Ingenuity gives us a faster cooldown rate. And then we also have increased duration with Persistence. Gas Grenade is a damage over a time ability that we have. We almost never use it except for on something where we really want to do a bunch of extra damage over time. We've added Corrosion, which basically makes it so it starts to break their armor down, and the longer they're affected by the poison, the more their armor breaks until you fully break all of their armor, which increases your damage output. Then you have Bursting Plague, which makes your poison ability do a lot more damage because of the Bursting Plague ability. That's what it does. And then we have Inspiration, which makes it cost less. I may move this around, though, because it's I don't really use this that much, and it may make more sense to pop it on something else. But for now, that's where we have it. As far as our Herald, we have Herald of Ash, which basically makes it so that when we blow something up with our primary ability, it causes subsequent explosions, which can cause more subsequent explosions, which helps with clearing out packs of monsters. We've added Cannibalism on that, which gives us life every time we kill something, and Magnified Effect, which makes it so that the explosions are bigger. Wind Dancer makes it harder to hit us. And then we've added Wind Wave, which kind of pushes things back when they hit us, and Cannibalism, which if we happen to kill something that way, we excuse me, we get some life back. But I may end up, if I decide to deciding to pop that up into here in one of these other abilities. But I haven't really looked at this build in a while. But that's it for the abilities. Primarily, you're mostly just running around and doing crossbow shot. I don't know why my camera is cutting off so much of my head, but sorry about that. Anyways, going into our Ascendance, our skill points, we chose the Gemling Legionnaire Ascendancy, which is important because the primary reason why we did it is so that we can get over here to Gem Study, which allows us to use 2 copies of the various different gems that we have, which is why I was able to do 2 inspirations, 2 magnified effects, 2 of a few different things. I don't really care about the skill slots because we don't really need them. That's just, again, like several of these ascendancies, they force you to go through a useless node to get to a really good node, and you end up wasting 2 points having to do that. I really don't like that philosophy. It's a waste of 2 points, but this was important enough to actually spend those, so it is what it is. And then over here, we're going to go to Quality of Skills, and then when I finally get the last 2 Ascendancy points that I need, I will head over here into +1 level of all skills, which will make everything do a little bit more damage. As far as what kind of passive nodes you're doing, you're obviously going to follow the guide for the first part of it, which takes you through giving you more damage. We're trying to inflict bleeding as much as we can, which helps with damage over time, so we got some of that. Two-handed weapon, we're going to get this entire tree over here. This is all stuff, this stuff over here you get way later in the game. You're mostly going to come down this way, come over and grab this projectile speed and the crossbow reload. You're going to head over and grab some more bleeding on hit. You're going to come over here and grab ailments and pierce ability, along with bleeding out. But one of the biggest things you're going to want to make sure that you get down to is this set of damage nodes down here, as well as these attribute nodes, because the problem that you're going to run into with this particular build is that the heralds over here, as you level them up, start using a lot of strength and a lot of dexterity, and you're going to need a lot of extra of both of that. So if you can make your way down here to Polymath and get some serious increases to your attributes, that will help out with maintaining your auras. And we also just got a bunch of evasion and armor down here in this block. We increased our fire damage, penetrating fire resistance, and just increased fire damage in general. And that's mostly it for the build here. So and then, yeah, in any area of effect things that you can reach, you're definitely going to want to take those as well. Area of effect is a massive thing, because the more you can make, the bigger you can make your explosions, the more monsters you can kill, especially once you start getting into the end game. As far as gear goes, I'm not a big fan of builds that require uniques, so I kind of try to stay away from those as much as I can. Just get yourself, obviously your crossbow is going to be the most important part of your build. You want something that has really high amounts of increased physical damage, because the more physical damage you have, the more of that will get converted into fire damage. And but your physical damage is still your primary damage dealing type. So always increase your physical damage. If you can get some additional fire damage, that's okay, but you really want to focus on physical as much as you can. Accuracy rating for this build, I'm not sure matters that much, because you're mostly just doing AoE. So actually hitting the monsters with the projectiles, I don't know that that matters. That's just kind of what the crossbow came with. But I was really happy to get the gain 14 life per enemy killed, because it really helps with survivability. And then for the rest of everything else, you're mostly just going for the standard armor evasion gear as much as you can. Try to get your resistances maxed out. I haven't quite been able to find the exact gear I need to finish getting the last few points of this stuff in. But yeah, that's mostly it for the gear. You can adjust this stuff around as much as you want to get the specific results that you're looking for, but just try to get as much of resistance as you can. That's obviously what you're really trying to go for. So I think that's probably it as far as the build goes. I don't think there's anything else that you're supposed to talk about on these. I should have wrote it down, but I don't know. I feel like I'm missing something. So we got the passive tree, we've got the gear, we've got the abilities. Oh, Atlas. I'm not going to provide any on any of these builds. I'm not going to provide any suggestions on your Atlas tree. Your Atlas tree is going to be based off of what you're trying to get out of maps. So whatever you decide you want to try to get, you figure that out on your own. I'm not going to try to provide anything for that. So anyways, thank you very much for watching. Be sure to click the like button, subscribe to help us reach 10,000 subscribers. Join as a member for early access to videos, among other perks. Or you can just leave YouTube's version of a tip with the thanks button. I also have PayPal and Patreon links in the description if you prefer to go that route. Yeah, thank you very much for watching. Be sure to come back for our next video, and I'll see you then.